All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we back. Good evening. Just want to welcome you to the Masjid of Learning. So I received a comment from a young person, I want to say, and they wanted to get some information and wanted me to do a tape on the rites of passage of a teenager, okay? A rites of passage basically from your teenage years into your younger adult years. And I find this to be rather interesting to get that comment because in the last few days, more in particular since Saturday, I've just been taking some time to do some introspection on my own personal life, looking at where I've been, where I am currently, and where I'm going into the future. So this will be a very good time for us all to look at currently where we are in our lives, look at the environment we may have been born into, look at the kind of parental guidance and instruction we had. We're going to look back into our elementary, middle, and high school years, our collegiate years, see some of the activities that were going on then, some of the pros and cons, some of the things to look out for. And me being, probably a little bit older than some of you, I want to also use my own life and my own personal experiences and open up to you all a little bit more, expose a little bit more about who I am and how I got to be, where I am right now, because I'm still growing as you all are. So that's what we're going to do in this tape, talk about the rites of passage and just kind of do like a little retrograde, tape. Just look deep within ourselves and just really see what we got going on in our own personal lives. That's what this tape is going to be about. Now, I'm going to do this tape, of course, because I am an older so-called black male. So this is the perspective I'm coming from. But I am going to make it very general. But it will be customized for younger so-called black males. And if the younger females want to hear a tape, then what's going to have to happen is one of them is going to have to comment and actually say, hey, I want to hear a tape on, for the women. And, let that be known. Other than that, I'm going to just do one in general for the brothers out there and stuff like that. So, as I said, this tape is going to be about dealing with the rites of passage and the transition into the higher self or our true self, because a lot of you all hear me quote a lot in the Old Testament in Genesis. When man was created, he was created to be in the image of perfection. And a lot of that is what is your real purpose? You're on this planet. Why were you brought into manifestation here? What kind of hidden skills and talents and gifts do you have lying within you? What did the Creator bless you with? What kind of power do you have, and what kind of new contribution can you bring to the earth plane? That is my question to you. So also, this tape is also to see, am I actually on my purpose? Am I in my true masculine frame? Am I going in the direction of my life that I'm supposed to be? On an everyday basis, the people I'm associated with, do they reflect who I am? Do they reflect where I'm going? The type of woman I'm in a relationship with, the type of woman I'm having sex with, does she reflect who I am? Does she reflect where I'm going in my life? So these are some of the, questions and things that you brothers need to be, asking yourselves as we're going forward in this tape. As I said, I'm not perfect, but I will be exposing, some stuff about myself just to give some examples and, let some of these younger brothers know what mistakes and stuff to look out for, because as a lot of people who may be a little older, because I'm only 31 years old, okay? I'm 31, but when you've made certain mistakes and experienced certain pain, if a person is a little bit younger, you can give them some guidance on how to avoid that and still get the wisdom, because we can obtain wisdom, but we don't have to necessarily get that pain all the time. So, it's best to get the wisdom in a beneficial circumstance than probably the way that some other people have to get it, So a lot of the wisdom that a younger person has is actually listening. Okay, so a younger person displays and expresses wisdom by listening. That's what helped me a lot in my younger years, and why I was able to get out of a lot of the ditches that I found myself in is because I listened to older people when they were giving me some game or something, So as I said before, I move forward. I don't want to keep talking too much, but This tape is on just figuring out what is my purpose and the rites of passage from your teenage years into your grown years. Because a lot of you brothers also, you know, if you were born at least from 1990 going forward, you know, we all grew up in a generation where, let's say that the families were fractured and divided. And some of us had our fathers in our lives permanently. Some of us had our fathers in our lives temporarily. And, you know, we came from different type of backgrounds. But I'm also going to make this tape from the perspective of a brother who probably didn't have his father in his life, maybe didn't have an older brother or an uncle to give him game. So he's growing up in an environment where it's predominantly women, a lot of female energy, and he's having some hard times on how to, you know, go through life and do things in a more masculine way. So this tape is also very, very key and critical to a brother like that may be either in middle school or high school and don't have any type of older male spiritual guidance. This is very, very critical for him as well. But this is what we're going to do. So I got a book that I'm going to read from at first, and then we're going to move forward. The book is called The Way of the Superior Man. The Way of the Superior Man. That's the name of the book. The Way of the Superior Man. All right. And there is a chapter in here, and it's called Your Purpose Must Come Before Your Relationship. Now, the reason why I'm going to read this is because as a man, you're going to find out, especially when we get more into the middle school and high school years, when you're going through puberty and learning more about the greater world around you, that your desires, if you're not careful, can be the main motivating factor for everything you do in your life, whether they are higher or lower desires. And when it comes to the lower desires, a lot of them will be sexually inspired. So you will find yourself wanting to get in certain arrangements with women, whether they are relevant or irrelevant. But the bottom line that you're really looking for is just the sexual outcome. And when you have that as your priority, you tend to put your purpose and your true destiny on the back burner. And this was actually one of the problems that the biblical character Adam had, because he prioritized the female over his purpose. Okay. So that's one of the pitfalls that I want you brothers to first write down in your mental, notepad, is that you don't never replace your purpose, and you never replace the journey going towards your higher self, your perfected self. You never replace that for some type of temporary desire, whether that's sexual or whether that's monetary. You never do that. Your purpose and your higher self is the most important thing to you. Okay. So that's the name of this chapter. It's called Your Purpose Must Come Before Your Relationship. Now we're going to read some of this and then we're going to, keep going. So it says, every man knows that his highest purpose in life cannot be reduced to any particular relationship. If a man prioritizes his relationship over his highest purpose, he weakens himself, disservices the universe, and cheats his woman of an authentic man who can offer her full undivided presence. Admit to yourself that if you had to choose one or the other, the perfect intimate relationship or achieving your highest purpose in life, you would choose to succeed at your purpose. Just this self-knowledge often relieves much pressure a man feels to prioritize his relationship when, in fact, it is not his highest priority. But keep in mind, if you value the sexual gratification versus getting more into your perfected higher earth God frame, masculine frame, if you value that climax and that nut more, then you will move your highest priority or your purpose out the way and put the woman in that position. And that's something you don't do. All right. Your mission is your priority, aka the reason why you're here. Unless you know your mission and have aligned your life to it, your core will feel empty. Your presence in the world will be weakened, as will your presence with your intimate partner. The next time you notice yourself giving in to your woman, postponing your mission, and denying your true purpose in order to spend time with her, stop. Tell your woman that you love her, but you cannot deny your heart's, moving forward to the next page, your heart's purpose. Tell her that you will spend 30 minutes or some specific time with her in absolute attention and total presence. But then you must return to carry on your mission. Now, there's another chapter in this book where he goes into how the woman doesn't want you to make her the priority, but she doesn't necessarily behave in that way. And the example he gives is of the warrior who has to go off to a war. And the woman is crying and wants him to stay home with her. But he kisses her. He says, baby, I got to go. And then, of course, he gets on the horse and rides off. And she's at home crying while the dust is flying in the air. You know, you all have seen that on the movie. One may think that because the woman is crying, she wants her to stay. But subconsciously, those tears that she is expressing are really more tears of joy and more of tears of affection and also tears of happiness, because she's actually proud that that man is going out to perform his true purpose. Because if he were to stay and say, oh, okay, baby, I'm not going to go and fight the war, or aka I'm not going to go and do something that's in my higher masculine frame that may be attached to my purpose, the woman's not going to respect him. And then he's going to stay there thinking he's doing the right thing, where in reality he's not. And he'll be getting this disrespect and he won't be really knowing why. So a lot of you brothers out here that are young, understand that some of these older black men that you see get treated a certain way by so-called black women and by everybody else in society. It's because people can see that they're not in their true masculine frame and they're not following their purpose. They've prioritized something that really is irrelevant, whether it's a woman or something that just isn't going to be fulfilling. Another example would be, you know, they just have come out with more details into the murder of the Dallas rapper Mo 3. And what I'm reading is it's looking like Mo 3 was, you know, he had a relationship with a woman, and this woman had a quote unquote baby father, and the woman and you both three were dealing with each other. And this so-called baby father found out, and I guess in his anger, he, you know, created this plot to kill Mo 3 and actually did it. Now, when you look at that situation, that man is a very, very weak male because he prioritized that woman over his purpose. Because now, of course, he's going to probably end up going to prison. And he still didn't get the woman back. Now she's still going to be out here and going on to the next man. So understand that whenever you prioritize the woman, or whenever you think you're doing some Captain Save-A-Ho shit, or whenever you think you're doing some lame shit to impress her or something like that, you really are making yourself look weak. And you really are destroying your own masculine energy. So don't do that. Always prioritize your inner self. Sometimes you'll hear me call the inner self God. You'll hear me call it the inner spirit, the higher self, the inner self, etc. But whatever you may call it, that true essence within you, that is your priority. And that's what's guiding you to do exactly whatever it is you're supposed to be on this planet doing. So now let's move forward. And now we want to go into the phases and some of the rites of passage, because now you understand, okay, my purpose is the most important thing. So then the next question may be, well, how do I find my purpose? A lot of the times your purpose is going to be discovered in your toddler and in your childhood years, meaning from those ages of, let's say, 1 to 10 years old, what we call, quote unquote, elementary, you know, what they say from pre-K to 5th grade. In those years, you're going to have certain experiences, certain things that you're into, certain occurrences, etc. That's going to give you indications as to what your true purpose is. I'll give you an example with me. So, you know, between those ages of 0 and 10, one of the things that I did see a lot in my youth is when I did get to hang out with my father the way I wanted, he presented himself in a way to where he was on his own clock. He moved in what I learned to be when I got to be a grown man was something, you know, called being a businessman or being an entrepreneur, creating your own business, things of that nature. So I would see him, you know, he would pick me up from school. He would have a briefcase. You know, he had a gold watch on. He'd have his suit on. You know what I'm saying? He'd get driving his whip. You know, I see him making phone calls and stuff like that. And I just remember being fascinated by that as a kid. And a lot of the things he used to preach to me and my brother and my older sister were, you know, things about business, being self-sufficient, working for yourself, and trying to figure out what your purpose is early in real life. I can remember me and my brother, a lot of times when he would ask us, you know, what do we want to be when we get older and stuff like that. And, you know, when we were younger and stuff, elementary, you know, early middle school, we still trying to refine and figure it out. And whenever he would see those type of, behaviors in us that we were still figuring it out, he didn't like that. He wanted us to go ahead and figure out what is it is you really are here for. Because the sooner you figure it out, the sooner you can start working towards that. And I can remember him saying a lot of that type of stuff when I was in elementary and early middle school. So, think about, when you were younger, that type of stuff. Also, too, when I was younger, of course, I was very athletic and into basketball and stuff like that. So, one of my purposes also was going to be into athletics and fitness, because even as a grown man, I'm still into it. So you'll see that as a child. So just little signs of stuff like that, things you were interested in, etc. And as far as the business aspect, I was into the business thing. And when I got older, of course, I would end up going to college and then, majoring in business. So your purpose, your childhood, you're going to get little signs of it. You know what I'm saying? So just kind of think back on that for a minute. So the next thing I want to talk about is elementary schools. Now we're going to go into the phases of manhood, the rites of passage, type of stuff that's going on, and etc. And I can just use myself. Once again, I'm 31 years old. Okay. So that means that my childhood was pretty much the 90s. I was born in 1989. So, the 90s was my childhood. The 2000s to about 2010 was my teenage and going into my early 20s. Okay. So, if you're a younger person, I guess you can just go and research what was going on at that time period. Like when I was a kid, we would look at stuff like, Rugrats, Power Rangers, the X-Men, wrestlers, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of stuff I was into. But, when I was a child, your childhood years in elementary, a lot of that is supposed to be about enjoying life as a kid, just not having that responsibility, and experiencing little stuff. Sometimes you may even have your first experiences where you may sneak and kiss a girl. I can remember being in what was it, 5th grade, and having like a little school dance and little stuff like that. And then, try to sneak off and kiss girls and little stuff like that. So in elementary, you're going to get them type of experiences, sometimes even fighting kids on the playground, you got a lot of that going on. So a lot of stuff in your elementary years, it's going to be, it's going to be formulating your personality, but a lot of it is going to be unconscious. You know what I'm saying? A lot of your personality and you becoming a little more aware of what you're doing and what the people around you are doing, what is accepted as being quote unquote cool and stuff like that. That's going more into like your middle and high school years, where a lot of the red flags and the problems are going to come. But, as far as the elementary school, elementary years, just more some laid back type shit, So now let's go into middle school. Now, middle school is pretty much 6th through 8th grade. When I went into middle school, I was 11 years old. Okay. So for me, that was 11 years old to 13 years old. All right. Now, middle school is very, very critical because you got a lot of stuff going on. For one, when you're going into middle school, when you're in the 6th grade, you got people that are older than you that already have probably went through the early phase of puberty. So you're going to already see them getting into certain type of stuff that, you still low key playing with toys. So, you're coming in the 6th grade and you seeing these people already that may be having little girlfriends and stuff like that. That's in 7th and 8th grade. Or, they may be already into, your older teenage type stuff, that's like around 12, 13 years old. So one of the peer pressures that you can run into is it's starting to feel like you need to grow up a little too early, getting into certain stuff that you're going to see people doing that is a bullshit ass expression that I'm older and I'm mature. And what are some of those things? Smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, so-called sex, things of that nature. And also, too, even a lot of the violence and the fighting, because we had a lot of that going on. Back when I was in middle school, you was in 6th grade, 7th grade, they would put everybody on different teams. So everybody may be in 7th grade, but you had team A, team B, team C, team D. And then, you start having your little cliques and stuff like that. So this is why I say in middle school, you start to see the personalities be expressed a little bit more. And people start gravitating towards who's more like them. You see what I'm saying? You start figuring out who's a little bit more like you. based on just certain attributes, characteristics, behaviors, etc. So that's when I started seeing a lot more of that going on. But now I want to make this tape and tell you all about some of the shit you really need to look out for. So if you're already past this age, but maybe you have a child that's a teenager and in middle school, and maybe you can take some of this game and use it with them. But I'm gonna tell you something you really got to watch out for. And this goes for both middle school and high school. You don't want to get into that sexual intercourse and any kind of drug or liquor use too early. I'm gonna repeat that one more time. You don't want to get into any type of sexual intercourse or any kind of drug usage or alcohol, tobacco usage too early in middle school or high school. I can remember being in the 6th and 7th grade and having homeboys already skipping school, smoking cigarettes, having sex and things of this nature. I can remember being in the 7th grade. I had a homeboy, and I'm 12 years old. So we in school, and I remember for like consecutive days, he just kept drinking all these bottles of water. So I remember asking him, like, damn, bro, I'm like, why you drinking all this water or whatever? And then I remember him telling me that he had to take a drug test and all this different stuff. I'm like, a drug test for what? Because he had been caught, smoking and the things of that nature. So he already was kind of getting caught up into the system. You know what I'm saying? Also, I'm going to tell you this too. Now, once again, I'm going to be giving y'all some game and some deep shit. Okay? Something that you got to really watch out for is when you are in middle school and high school, the female peers you have, believe it or not, they having their same experiences, but they're already being approached and preyed upon by older men. So some of the females that you're going to be around in middle and high school probably have had certain sexual experiences already. Some of them may have been finessed and tricked into it. Some of them being too fast and getting into certain things too early. And this is one of the things that I found out, as a 12-year-old kid, you know what I'm saying, kind of the hard way, because when you're younger, man, you don't be really knowing what's going on, you know what I'm saying? And when you're just in middle school, you're interacting with other people, you just don't be knowing what folks is going through at home and stuff like that. So just be very, very aware of kids having, sex and stuff like that too early, because some of that was going on. And what happened is you don't have no type of guidance. You can have unwanted pregnancies. For example, I knew a girl who was pregnant when we was in the 7th grade. You know what I'm saying? I never forget this shit. So stuff like that. And then also you have, your STDs. You're going to have people getting little situations like that. And, when you 11, 12, 13 years old, you don't know what's going on. A lot of the people may be ashamed and afraid to tell their parents because they really know they're not supposed to be doing it. And you're going to be confused, And see, I was going to school in middle school, that was like early 2000s. So that's like 2000 to 2003. But nowadays, like how they have the pornography on the phones and all that type of shit, that's some dangerous shit, man. And that's some real wicked inspiration for a young person. So you got to watch out for that. Watching the pornography too early. You got to stay away from that. Masturbating too early. Catching a climax too early. You got to stay away from that shit. I know it may sound kind of graphic in detail, but this is some real shit that I'm sitting here telling you. Stay away from that stuff. It's really good when you're in your middle school years is to just still stay innocent. You know what I'm saying? Like, just still stay on your innocent shit. You can pipe up and mature up a little bit more. You're going to put down the toys, of course. You're going to gravitate towards people in the middle school who more like you. You may want to start trying to get on the football or the basketball team. And you may try to want to do your cool thing and stuff like that. And all that's all right. But also just take it easy and take it the slow route. And I'm going to also say this too. When I was in like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, of course you had your little fake so-called girlfriend and boyfriend type stuff. So, I mean, it ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, you writing girls the letters in school. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. That's cool. But keep in mind, when you are a young man in middle school, this is very important. When you are a young man in middle school, that means the age is between, let's say, 11 and 14. The girls your age are already starting to have sexual experiences with men who are in high school and in their early 20s. Meaning that a female can be, let's say, 12 or 13, and she's having sexual experiences with somebody who's between the ages of 15 and 20 years old. This is facts. And I'm going to also say this too. See, when I was younger, you know, you in the hood and little shit like that, different neighborhoods. It's like you don't really knowing that you seeing the pedophile shit going on. You ain't really noticing these older niggas is really talking and pushing up on these young females like that. But they are. And it's just subconsciously you catching little stuff, but you're not really fully understanding it. Your brain is recording it, but you're not necessarily comprehending and understanding it yet. That's why middle school is very important to just try to sit back and peep game, not necessarily act and play into this shit, but just try to sit back and peep game and watch this shit. Like, I can remember even other experiences where, you know, I'm what, like 11, 12 years old, you know, with the older homies and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? These niggas is older, so they already into the having sex thing and all that. I'm 12 years old. In my mind, I ain't thinking about that. So we already just chilling, you know, kicking it and stuff like that. And these niggas already running through the little females, passing them around and shit like that. You know? And me, I'm really just kind of sit back, you know, peeping what's going on, not playing into it, but just, you know, doing the brain recording. Oh, okay, this is what's going on or whatever. Seem like it's kind of fast, but it is what it is. So this is what's going on in the middle school years, you know, so just keep your eye on that. Now, the reason why I'm keying in on when you are between the ages of 11 and 14, that the same females that are around them ages, they're already dealing with guys that probably are, let's say, 15 through 20 years old. Now, keep up with this, because you're going to notice throughout this tape that the women that are your age, your contemporaries, they're going to always be dealing with older men. So that means that as you get older as a man, what you're going to find is that I'm going to start showing you how you need to be dealing with the women coming from different generations that may be a little bit younger than you. Now, I'm not talking about no pedophile shit now, so we're not putting that on there. But I'm saying, like, you're going to see when I get to the age when a person may be 30 years old, why I may be telling you to talk to a 20-year-old. But we're not talking about no shit to where if you're 20 years old, you're going to go and talk to a 10-year-old. Like, fuck no, we ain't talking about that. But you're just going to see that. And you have to accept that the women that are your age, they're already having sexual encounters and sexual experiences with older guys. All right, so just keep that in mind. What's some other stuff that was going on in middle school? Once again, just like peer pressure and stuff like that, just look out for that. You know, because we was wilding in middle school. I was starting food fights. We was jumping people. You know what I'm saying? You know, my partner's like literally taking niggas' lunch monies and stuff like that. So you got a lot of that type of stuff going on in middle school. It's a lot of wolves in middle school because certain niggas be bigger and taller, you know, and everybody don't go through their little stages as fast. Also, remember this too, in middle school, this is where you have your puberty starts. And of course, puberty is very, very critical because you have your hormonal changes, you know, the behavior changes. And sometimes the teenager may have a bad attitude. I remember my mom used to say that, like, when I was a teenager, you know, I had a horrible attitude. She used to say my attitude was the size of Texas. You know, so I can remember her just saying that. So, and a lot of that may just be the hormonal stuff. And also I'm going to say this too, you know, the environment you were born into, meaning that did you come from a 2-parent household where your parents married? If you come from a household where you only had one parent in there, whether it was the male or the female, the mother or the father, was this person career oriented? Meaning that did you have a parent who was so caught up in their career where they weren't really checking up with you? They weren't really asking you questions about sex, asking you questions about who you're hanging out with, looking under your bed, checking to see, are you watching pornography? See, if you don't have a parent that's doing that, you're low key opening up the door for the shaitan to finesse you into doing some bullshit. Because the truth of the matter is that when I look back, it's like, man, you damn right I wish I would have had my mom and dad checking on my ass. you know, making sure I'm not doing this, making sure I'm not doing that. But it wasn't like that. You know, like, shit, nigga was really just out there doing a little bit too much, you know. And because of this, you know, you have to go through certain negative experiences. So this is one of the problems when you don't have, you know, when you're not growing up in a 2-parent household. You know, when you have like one parent that just so caught up in their career, a lot of bullshit happens because of that, man. You know, it'd be times where you wake up, you know what I'm saying, it's 7 a.m, and then you go to school and all that, and you may not see your mom till 7 at night. So you literally done went to school, came home and got off the bus at 4 o'clock, kicked it in the hood and did all this other shit, and then your mom just now coming home 3 hours later. And imagine this was your life in elementary, middle, and high school. You know what type of shit motherfuckers is doing when they get out of school and they 12, 13 years old and ain't nobody there? You know how many females niggas' houses is going over and fingering them and all this other type of shit, going in their refrigerators and all this type of wild ass shit? This is what was going on. You know? So you got to be real into your parents. If you're a parent, you got to be real into your kid life. And if you're a teenager, if you realize you got a parent, either a mom or a dad, whether it's 2 parents in the household or if it's just one. But if they on that bullshit where they so caught up in their career and they got that mindset of thinking like, oh, well, I put food on the table and oh, I put clothes on your back or oh, well, I put a roof over your head and they think that's the only thing they got to do, it's fucked up. But you're going to have to be your own parent by making a lot of good decisions when you around your peers. That's the only thing that's going to save you because they too caught up into the money shit. They too caught up into the materialism shit. So they're not going to be checking your cell phone to make sure that boys are not texting the girls and all this other type of little shit. So that means that really you're going to have to be bigger and just not make certain poor choices. That's the only thing that's going to save you from getting in trouble. So that means if you are a teenager and nowadays, you're going to have to be way more responsible and way more accountable than ever. That means that, yeah, you still are a young teenager. You don't need to try to be grown. But at the same time, you're going to have to be more accountable. Because in the so-called black community today, most of you all that may be a teenager, some of y'all got parents that's my age. And I'm only 31 years old. Like some of y'all folk literally got I know people my age that already got 10-year-olds. You know what I'm saying? 12-year-olds and stuff like that. Like, come on, man. Y'all think the average 31-year-old person out here consciously is like a Blackbeard? Fuck no. Especially in the so-called black community. Come on, man. So they're not really even equipped to be parents. And then most of us don't really come from high economic households. So whenever we get a little opportunity to start getting some money and shit like that, man, folk be so consumed with that, they ain't really looking at the parent thing like that. So just keep that in mind, man. Please keep that in mind. Now we're going into high school. So high school is going to have basically an advanced version of a lot of stuff that was going on in middle school. Of course, more the sex stuff, more the drug usage, except all the toys and stuff like that has been put down. And the peer pressure and the cliques and the groups and the personalities coming together, all that stuff is just going to increase and enhance. That's all it's going to do. And you're going to have different activities now, going to the movies, high school dances. You know, back then we used to go to the house parties and stuff like that. You know, and you had your high school experiences. You know, a lot of my high school years, man, they were a little rougher than they were supposed to be because I made them harder. You know, just getting into certain street life and little gang activity, neighborhood gang fights and little stuff like that. And just shouldn't have did a lot of that, you know, but that's the kind of stuff that's going on in high school, you know. But really, when you're in high school, you really want to just still be sitting back, observing and watching, because now you're in high school. So you're going to be between the ages of 14 and 17. You know, those are my ages. So what's going to happen is that the women that are between the ages of 14 and 17 in high school with you, they're dealing with the older men that are not even in school anymore. So they're dealing with the men now that are probably anywhere from 18 to probably 30. Yes. You got creep niggas that are literally my age right now, 30, 31 years old, that probably are still going to the high schools trying to get them females. This is a fact. And I'm going to tell you something else too. And these women are having experiences with them. They are. This is a fact. You can think back on it. You know, some of the people that may be my age, or even if you may be a high school guy now, and sometimes the females that's your age, they give you a problem, and you know, they act like they don't want to hook up with you, but you see them with these older guys. All right. So just keep that in mind. The women your age, they're always having interactions with the men that are older than you. And I'm gonna also say this too. As a man, things in life for you are going to start a little later, meaning when you're going to be able to get a lot of the financial gratification like you want, you know, interacting with the woman sexually in a more liberated, free way like you want. A lot of that's going to come when you get a little bit older. But as far as with the woman, because she's in her youth years, she's the most fertile, and that's when her beauty is the most enhanced. You know, she's able to go ahead and have an opportunity to start certain things in her life. And a lot of the time, you know, when women are at that age, you know, let's say those high school and let's say between the ages of, we're going to just say, you know, 15 to 25, you know, between 15 to 20, that's when she coming into her young womanhood. And, you know, 20 to 25, she's getting older, and she's, you know, she's still in her attractive phase. And a lot of the time, you know, the women, they wilding out at them ages. You know, this is just a fact. This is just a fact. So if you're in high school, you know, if you may still do your little boyfriend, girlfriend stuff, ain't nothing wrong with that. You know, you got your prom going on, ain't nothing wrong with that. You may get your first job, you know what I'm saying? You know, get you a job at McDonald's or wherever it is you work. You know, you even may have got your first whip, you know what I'm saying? Got your first car and stuff like that. You want to stay fresh, you know, like that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like, do that type of stuff, you know, get you a little job, keep you a little bit of money in your pocket. You know, probably have you a cool little girlfriend at school who just do her school work, but don't, like I said, though, but don't get into the sex thing and the drug thing and all that. Stay away from the weed and stay away from the sex, even in high school. Yes, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. Stay away from it. You know, it's okay to probably kiss on her and, you know, you was feeling on her titties or whatever, or fingering her or whatever, or, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? You're going to do what you do, but as far as like the actual intercourse and stuff like that, I would stay away from it. You know, I would just stay away from it. Because see, when you're in high school, you're still figuring yourself out. You're still learning, because the game is about to get ready to turn up once you get in your 20s. So, you know, you really want to complete high school with the high school diploma. That's the whole goal of all this shit. If you can get through your elementary, middle, and high school, and you actually achieve your high school diploma, you don't have no unwanted pregnancies. You know, and you a cool young man with a high school diploma. You got some aspirations to either go to college, or maybe you're gonna go to you got you a trade or a particular skill you want to, you know, perfect. You go into that. Or some of you brothers may go ahead and start you an entrepreneur, you know, business and turn up with that when you get out of high school. But whatever the case may be, you need to have some type of plan. Don't be one of these brothers who just in high school willy-nilly. You're not taking your homework serious. You're not reading. You ain't got your book bag with your books in it. Or right now, how we got the digital classes and you got to log in on time and stuff like that. You can't be one of these young brothers who think that, oh, just because ain't no teacher around, or just because my mom ain't home, I don't have to log in on time and all that. Like, no, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Because I'm going to show you how things are going to start changing once high school is over with, because now you're going to have an education difference with the people who go to college versus the people who don't, you know, and I'm not even one of these, you know, high elitist type thinking people that everybody that go to college is just some perfect person. No, but I'm just saying, I did notice a big difference after high school, because now we're going to go into the post high school years. So now let's say you 18, you graduated high school, you got your high school diploma, and let's say you about to go to college. Okay, boom. So now you're going into college. Now your college is going to be, of course, you know, undergrad between the ages of 18 and 23, you know, 18, 24, whatever the case may be, right? Now college is going to turn up because you're going to be living on your own now. You know, you may not be living with your parents. So you're going to have to be more accountable and more responsible. And this is going to be you having to go to class, meaning walk to class or get on the bus or drive to school. You're going to have to like come home, actually do the homework. You have to be way more accountable for yourself. So this is why I was saying, like in middle school, you really got to be preparing for this shit, because A lot of people don't be ready for for that freshman year in college. I'm going to tell you what happens in that freshman year of college. That freshman year of college, that summer going into college, you're going to be so turned up that you're going to already start doing, certain things that the college people are doing. And typically that's going to involve your first initial contact with, let's say, alcohol. Some people may smoke for the first time. Some people may engage for the sexual intercourse for the first time. But typically that summer after college is where that summer after high school is when a lot of that stuff starts turning up. And that's pretty much kind of what happened with me. That's when I first started getting more into, stuff like the sexual intercourse after high school. You know what I'm saying? That summer after high school going into college, that's when I started. So, that's what it was with that. And even stuff like, tasting alcohol. I never was really big on that, but, little stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Roll up some of the runts or whatever. We ain't have runts back then, but, nigga was on that or whatever, right? So boom. But see, if you're responsible in college, you're going to be getting your work done. You know what I'm saying? Everything cool. But this is what you're going to see in college. You're going to see a lot of the females that you in college were around. And some of them, they're going to be dealing with guys that's outside of the college and that's already older and established. That's true. But what's really going to be happening a lot is that the females in college are going to use that as an opportunity, a lot of them, to have a sexual liberation phase, because they're going to come across so many different dudes of so many different ages. They're going to be freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors living on different parts of the campus, meeting them at different parties. You know what I'm saying? Meeting them at the football games and all these different little events and stuff like that. So you're going to start noticing on college, getting to see like who's really a thought, you know what I'm saying, and who's not. And a lot of the time it's best to just kind of sit back and just kind of watch, while you in college or whatever shit, you find you some little females, you do your thing and stuff like that. But use this as a time period also to sit back and watch and learn a lot of stuff, because these same women that's going to be in college getting ran through at the frat parties, getting drunk, throwing up and all this different stuff, these are going to be your corporate America women. Okay? These are going to be your corporate America women. As a matter of fact, some of you all listening to this shit right now, these are you all's mothers and you all's aunts or you all's big cousins or whatever. So I'm telling y'all right now what they was doing in college. I'm 31 years old. Okay. So when I graduated college, like, this is like I was in college. So I saw what they was doing. Okay. So, they in college, they turning up or whatever. They really, and a lot of them are getting ran through. I'm just being real with you. They getting ran through. But then, when you're in college, I ain't gonna lie, you got to really be on your square, because especially if you ain't come from an economically suitable environment, meaning that if you were a brother, if you came from a household where y'all ain't really had no money like that, that means that the college shit is your opportunity to really go and learn something. So when you graduate, I guess if you into that career thing, you can find you a career you like, or like me, you can go and learn. And when you graduate, since you already knew your purpose, which was to be a businessman, you can now try some entrepreneurship. And that's what I chose to do. Because when I was a young man, I knew I was going to end up going to college for business. I didn't know what in particular, but it ended up being accounting. So I went to bit school, and ended up majoring in accounting and ended up graduating with that. All right. So you go to college, and I'm not going to lie to you, and you do want to graduate. I'm going to just be real with you. Like, there's no point of getting on the basketball court if you're going to lose the game. So if you end up enrolling in college, you end up moving in college, like going to the town and all that, everybody in your old neighborhood know you going to college. Like, don't go do all that shit and then don't get the degree. I can't tell you how many niggas I started out college with and none of them dudes finished. And what was sad about it is that I was the most street out of all of them. I had the most situations going on, and I really had some of the most shit blocking me, and still graduated. When I was a junior in college, you all, long story short, my whole home was raided by the police, and niggas was getting locked up, put on probation and all this different type of stuff, and still had to end up graduating, So Don't be one of these cats to go to college and you don't end up achieving and at least graduating. Like, at least go there, learn as much as you can. Don't be one of these people that's just trying to get a degree. Like, no, really try to learn. Like, really try to go and get a degree in something that either you know you can do as a business or you can have a career out of it and you really like it, and go there and you master it. All right. So and also too, get the degree because you love the craft. Don't be just thinking about because you want to get a job and make some money. Like, nah, really go there and really tighten up and really try to learn the knowledge and the science of whatever the industry is you trying to learn. Like take your studious aspect of it very serious. All right. So now, boom. So you let's say now you graduated college. So you about 23 years old or whatever. You got your undergrad, right? Or let's say if you went to your trade school or whatever, you've been grinding it out in your trade, for your early 20s. So now you're in about your mid 20s, right? So the next thing is that you're going to get out into what they call the quote unquote real world. So now we're talking about your post college life. All right. From the ages of, let's say when you graduated high school, between the ages of about 18 to about 35, these are going to be the years where you are really building yourself as a man, meaning that you're learning more about who you are. You're interacting with different women, learning more about them. You're getting some type of education or trade or skill that you can use to financially sustain yourself. And you're naturally growing as a man. All right. So that means that, believe it or not, a lot of the relationships that you brothers going to have, even in your 20s, they're not going to be no different than them elementary school relationships. And honestly, you shouldn't be trying to get into no serious relationship until you have started to incline and ascend financially, and probably when you are in your mid to late 30s. Okay. So now let me also say this. Now, some of you guys are going to get in real relationships between the age of, let's say, 18 and 35. So I'm not going to just sit here and shut that down because that would be wrong. But I'm telling you the way I did it and what's easier for you to concentrate and focus. Because remember, when you're in a relationship, you have to prioritize that woman over your trade. Like, for example, there was no way I could be in a serious relationship and major in accounting and then graduate with the accounting degree, try to figure out entrepreneurship, go through that broke phase, go through that struggling phase of trying to put the business together and that whole just trying to figure it out. Like, you can't be in a relationship during all that, man. You can't. You just can't. So you got a choice to either master how to socialize and deal with women and be truthful with them to let them know that you can't be in serious relationships, but you're going to still want casual sex. So honestly, you're going to have to just master how to get sexual interactions with the woman, but also be able to stay on your purpose. However you organize and arrange that is really going to be on you. But you definitely don't prioritize that sexual gratification over your purpose. So believe it or not, like throughout my whole 20s, I was never in no serious relationship. The last serious relationship I had when I was, about 18 years old. But when I hit my 20s, I wasn't concerned with that at all. I'm not even concerned with it now. I was concerned with getting my business understanding, surviving a lot of the court and judicial issues I had, and just growing as a man. But, I was fortunate and gifted enough in the area of knowing how to socialize and interact and communicate with the woman. So throughout this time period, of course, I'm having casual sex with these different women. Of course. So I don't want you all to think that you have to like get in that relationship to try to get to what you want from the woman. No, that's not true. It worked actually the other way around. When you prioritize what's real, the woman will have way more respect for you. Now, will you lose a lot of them too? Of course you will. I've lost plenty of women because they saw that I prioritize my accounting aspirations and my business aspirations over them. And I just let them go on about their business. Will you have some lonely nights? Of course you will. That's just how the game go. You got to know what you signed up for. And while you're in your 20s, trying to figure out who you are, going through all that them phases, and especially when you're an entrepreneur, even with a college degree, you're not going to be making no money at that time. You're going to be struggling with your car stuff, struggling with your living situations, just trying to keep a little bit of money in your pocket. See, while you're going through all that different stuff, it's best to be by yourself. Go ahead and pay the cost to be the boss and be by yourself, and always stay focused on the food that's on your plate. Don't be worried about what the people around you are doing. Now, some of the women that's going to be your same age when they graduate college, believe it or not, a lot of them don't really have business, entrepreneurship, like big business building type of dreams. Most of them just get their degree and probably go get a good corporate job. Even if they making, let's say, between 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90,000 a year. They just really got a good job. So you're going to see a lot of the women between, let's say, 23 and let's say between 23 and 30, they going to be getting a good job. You're going to see them with the shiny shoes, the shiny good, $500,000 weave, the nice home or condo or something like that. They're going to have a nice car, the good corporate job. They're going to be traveling and little stuff like that, going to eat at the fancy restaurants. You see them at the Christmas parties with their nice little outfits on and stuff like that, because that's what they into, hanging with their home girls and little stuff like that. That's what most of them are into. But you're going to also have a certain small portion of those women that's going to try to really get married. And they're going to do that. But it's going to be a very small portion, especially in this modern age. A lot of these modern women not really into the marriage thing. They more into having more of like an independence and a power type thing. So keep in mind, like, and maybe I'm saying this now for the guys that's around my age. A lot of these guys, like, if you are a 31-year-old man right now, you are a goddamn idiot if you seriously consider marrying and procreating with a 31-year-old woman, a woman that's your age. Because you don't even understand that throughout this whole time period, she ran through by all these older men. And she's probably going to be a little more accomplished than you at this age as well. Because most men, they don't really start financially turning up probably, let's say, at their mid-30s, early 40s, mid-40s, early 50s. So let's say between 40 and 50 years old, it seems like that's when the man's money starts to increase a little bit more. Because even myself, I'm only a 31-year-old man. Y'all, I don't make that much money. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm independent. I make money from doing the accounting. And I make money from collecting royalties with music publishing, copyright publishing. You know what I'm saying? So copyright administration and accounting is the business that I've started for myself. And it's going to accumulate and snowball into bigger money. But, it got to start somewhere. So when you're a man, don't look at it like just because you got a college degree and just because I'm 27 years old and you be feeling like you're supposed to be at this certain stage in your life. Just give yourself some time to grow. Give yourself some time to grow, especially if you are an entrepreneur. Now, if you're a man that's just been getting jobs and stuff like that, then, you probably already making some little money. But if you're an entrepreneur, just give yourself some time to grow and eventually you're going to be there. But going back to what I was saying, but the women that's around my age, see, I already know what they up on. And also, too, these modern women, they're accelerating in a certain way that's a little different than the way it used to be. I don't want to go into, making this like no man versus woman thing, because y'all know I ain't really into that. But basically what I'm saying is that today, it almost seems like the women that are your age, y'all are at two different phases of y'all's lives. Because let's say, like, if the man's money starts increasing to where he can really start supporting himself, if he wants to have a child and a wife and stuff like that, if that don't start happening until his mid 30s to early 40s, mid 40s, then the woman that's around his age, she's really not a suitable partner for a relationship and for procreation. Believe it or not, you want to procreate with a woman that's younger, and you want a woman that's probably not had certain experiences either. Like when I'm between the ages of, let's say, 35 and 40 years old, when my money is in the right position like I want, I'm probably able to get the type of home I want now, the type of car I want now. travel and do certain things that I want to do now because my money and business has picked up. A lot of these women that are my age, they probably already have done some of them things. I mean, I got an older sister, and I see how the archetype of her life has been. She pretty much is like these modern, I guess successful so-called black women. But I see how it goes. Like at my age that I am now, she already had certain stuff going on. So it wouldn't make sense for me to choose a woman my age. I would have to choose somebody that's younger. So that means that when I get 40 years old, I would be choosing a woman that may be in her mid-20s. So that means if I'm 31 years old now, you all, how old is that woman going to be right now? You see, I'm going to let you do the math on that and get a picture of what I'm really saying here. And why I'm telling you all, you need to be patient in life and let things just grow. You know what I'm saying? And that's how you go about that. So now let's go into, between the ages of, like I was saying, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So now you're in your next phase of manhood. Okay. So now the money coming in a little bit more. But what you're going to see is that a lot of the women that are your age, they're going to be tapped out. A lot of them probably already have had a kid or two. A lot of them have already probably even had a marriage and they're already divorced. Maybe have had 1 or 2 marriages. Been in a career for a while, probably been in it at least 10 years. So let's say if you're 35 and, she got in her career when she was 25, she already been in it for 10 years. That's a long time to be just doing the same thing like that when you just not catching your stride as a man. You 35, 40, you ready to turn up and do all these new things, So to me, it's like, well, it made more sense to me by getting a younger woman, doing these new things with her and procreating with her. So that means if I'm 31 years old now, there's no reason for my mindset to be worried about little frivolous stuff like, worrying about my relationship. And I'm also say this to y'all. As a man, don't get caught up in that love thing. Don't get caught up in that. The only love that exists is self-love. Let me say that one more time. The only thing that exists is self-love. And even when you do get of an age where your money is right and you're ready for a relationship, the only type of woman you want to be with is a woman who loves herself. If she feels like she needs you for the love and all that, then that probably ain't nobody you really want to deal with. Just being real with you. It's just not. So, and one of the ways you're going to know as a man that you really love yourself and the woman that you potentially want to be with is you won't do any of these things prematurely, meaning that you're not going to try to rush the financial thing. You're going to let that organically happen so the money can be real money. And you're not going to rush the relationship and having a child thing. You're not going to do that. Because what did I say earlier about when it's not a 2-parent household, or if the parents are too career driven, it leaves these loopholes and leaves these blind spots for these teenage kids while they in middle and high school to get into all this bullshit that destroys their life. You don't need that going on. You need to be a grown, mature adult man who has residual income, money flowing in, that probably doesn't always need to be active and need to be present for his money to come in. And also, I'm going to say this too. You need to also have an environment created to where the woman that you bring into your life as your wife and the mother of your children, she don't need to have this stressful life. Just being real with you. She doesn't. You need to have a lot of the stuff like the home taken care of, the vehicle, how you paying for the bills and stuff like that. Have all that already taken care of so the woman can pretty much come in and be a helpmeet and be an assistance to your empire. That's what her role is. You're supposed to have an established empire. You choose a good woman who's cooperative. She's with your program. She can learn and do things the way you want her to do. She can be molded the way you want. And then you all can, turn up and you can put her in the empire. You know what I'm saying? Now she a part of the team. So this ain't no thing to where, it's like, as a man, you just got to be patient and do it the right way. Don't let your lower self get you. Like I said, getting into the unprotected sex too early. You can't do that, man. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. A lot of these women, they have no guidance. They don't know how to make decisions. These women will let you sleep with them unprotected, knowing that as a man, you have no plans for your life, knowing that like they'll just let you just ejaculate up in them, because nowadays they really don't look at the man as they need him for a husband anyway. And that's why a lot of you men are getting finessed. If these women are already making their own money, they so independent and all this other stuff, they probably only feel like they really just want the child. Because I'm going to tell y'all some real shit. I've heard female relatives of my own say that being a mother is easier than being a wife. So me hearing that, if I'm knowing that's how the woman thinks, why the fuck would I give her a child? No, I'm only going to give a woman a child that prioritizes being a wife. In Blackbeard's empire, no, being a wife is more important than being a mother. Let me say that one more time. In Blackbeard's empire, being a wife is more important than being a mother. Because if you perfect being a wife, being a mother will be easy, because I'm going to provide everything that's needed to make that happen. But if you can't be a good wife, I can guarantee you that being a mother going to be hard as hell, because you're going to have to pick up more of the slack. This is just a given fact. And I'm going to say this and then we're going to wrap it up. So most of these guys may say, well, Blackbeard, why do you say I should only wait until I'm financially ready to get in a serious relationship and have a child? Why not do it before? The reason why I'm going to tell you that is because most of these women out here, they come with that whole I want to be independent thing, and I want to have my own job and career, and I want to have my own money, and I want to be equal and all this other stuff. But the truth of the matter is that a lot of these women still want to be married and be in relationships, and they also don't really want to work once they start having children. But yet at the same time, they're going to want to live a decent lifestyle. So in order for all of that to happen, that means that the man has to be accomplished. He can't be no lower level guy. He got to be an accomplished guy. You see what I'm saying? He got to have the money to take care of himself, to take care of the woman, you see what I'm saying? Like, it ain't just no. So if that's the case, that means that a man shouldn't really get in the relationship until he has the money to support that. Prior to that, he don't need to get no real relationship. And I ain't saying you can't deal with the woman, but just deal with her in a casual interaction. And that's just what it is. So this whole time, when I meet women my age that may have already been ready for a relationship, ready for children, there's nothing wrong with that. But what they need to do is find somebody that's older than me for that. And if they want to deal with me, it can only be something casual. And this is just what it is. And I'm going to just go ahead and tell y'all the truth. Most of them still be cool with that, because it's a surplus of women. And a lot of these women have made poor choices, especially at my age. Because see, at my age, they getting a little too old. See, a 31-year-old man is not like a 31-year-old woman. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm getting a little more. I'm getting more Hercules and Samson with this shit. Whereas with them, the titty sagging a little bit more. The wrinkles in the crow feet coming in a little bit more. You see what I'm saying? The ass ain't as plump no more. But your boy Mirage, he piping up. You see what I'm saying? So the way that just the genetics and biology works, and when the woman is in her youth, meaning like that high school years, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s, that's when she need to be making that critical move to probably procreate and get in a serious relationship. And she needs to do that with a man that's already established and can take care of her and take care of the family. And that means that guy needs to be a little bit older if he's making that type of money. Because the truth of the matter is that most so-called black men, when they in their 20s and their early 30s, they're not going to be making that type of money. And that's okay. She just probably need to get an older brother who is. And then guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep living my life. And then when I get older, I'm going to go get the younger woman. So you see how it goes now? You see how it go now, y'all? So if Blackbeard is 31. But Blackbeard may want to procreate with a woman that's 10 years younger. Blackbeard ain't ready to do that until he's 41. So you see the time period that I have to live my life and grow. And you also see the time period for whoever that potential woman is out there for her to grow. Because right now she still is a very, very young woman. And I don't even want to know who the hell she is. You see what I'm saying? So this is why I'm saying in this life thing, as a young man, you got to go through the full rites of passage and not rush none of this shit. Let it all happen natural. And that's why I got this pyramid picture up here in front of you all. Because that's what the rites of passage of manhood is you going through all the levels, going through all the steps of the pyramid to ascend to your highest level in the apex of manhood. And it's not something you rush. You know, it's not something you rush. So this is what I'm going to end it with right here. Okay. So once again, we're talking about basically going from man to becoming an earth god. Because once you get to that 35, 40, 45, 50 years old, you're the earth god now. It just is what it is. You're the earth god. And if the Most High blessed you to where you was a brother and you probably came into that mode, maybe in your early 30s or mid 20s, late 20s, then you at it then. But I'm just speaking more in general how it happens. But as a man, you have to acknowledge that you are the creator on this earth. And this is something that I was trying to explain to a female relative recently, is that a woman and a child, they can afford to be in the etherical and play into the faith thing a little bit longer than man can. Because ultimately the woman and the child knows that they're dependent on man to get something done. But if man's head is something that's spiritual, meaning that he can't touch it, then more than likely man is going to be divinely inspired, but man is going to have to physically go and do something. So this is why, as a man, you have to believe in God, and then you have to get your ass out there and do something. Whereas with the woman and the child, they can believe in God, but they don't necessarily have to go get up and do something for something to still get done, because that's what the men are doing. So always be accountable as a man that you have to be God's ambassador on this planet for your family. That's how every so-called black household should be. The man in that household is the earth god, or he's playing the manifestation of the higher power for that household. And he's supposed to be the one that's, providing, sustaining, protecting that family and helping it progress and move forward. You see? So you can't be sitting around, playing into that whole, oh, I'm going to just be faithful, and oh, I'm going to just hope on it, and oh, I'm going to just pray on it. And nah, you can't do that as a man. I ain't saying nothing wrong with hoping. I ain't saying nothing wrong with being faithful, nor am I saying anything is wrong with praying. But after you get up from praying, you need to go do something. Meaning you need to crack some book open. You need to go and do, if you're a mechanic and you're becoming a master mechanic, go and crack open the automobile book. Get to learning about the science of the engine. In other words, as a man, you got to get up and go and do something, bruh. And this is a problem that I see with some brothers out here that, you get intimidated by this great work that you got to do. But it is what it is. It's like, it ain't no thing you got to get done overnight. But the thing is that you got to get up and go do something, bruh. And you have got to make the right choices, because the truth is that the world is not going to care about you for the poor choices you've made. Nor is the world going to save you from it either. The rules for a man are different from the rules for a woman. More responsibility and accountability is put on the man. So if you don't take your life serious, you don't figure out what your purpose is, you don't put this all into activation, you're going to have some problems. You're going to have some problems. So as a young man, as a young teenager, just be patient for anything that feels good in life. Be patient for the sexual gratification. Be patient for the relationship gratification. And even if you want to get into the alcohol thing and, smoke you some gelato one day, wait for that too. During middle school and high school, is it easier said than done? Of course. But at the end of the day, life don't care if you can't do it. Because if you do it and you make the wrong choice, I can promise you there will be a consequence, and nobody will care. Won't nobody care. Life gonna just move on. So if you in middle school and you having sex too early and you fuck around and get an STD or you fuck around and get a pregnancy too early, life ain't gonna give a fuck. Life gonna still move on. The people your age, they gonna still move on. Just like I was telling y'all, when I graduated high school, you just start seeing the people who didn't go to college, they still staying in the same neighborhoods, staying in the same areas, still having sex with the same old hoes from high schools. Now they turning into their baby mamas. Then they end up working at the little places around that we used to hang out when we was in middle and high school. It's like they in the same little area, that same little radius. You don't want to become one of them people. And I ain't talking down and talking bad on nobody, but I'm just saying you got a purpose. It is something great. So why not become that? Why not climb every step of the pyramid? Who gives a fuck if it take a long time? So? Bro, I graduated college when I was, 23? Man, I ain't even started making a little bit of money from this accounting shit until what? I was 28? So from 23 to 28, nigga, I was in the mud. The darkness, nigga. And from 28 to now at 31, it's been lighting up just a little bit. But it still ain't fully where it's supposed to be yet. But that's okay because I know what I'm building and I know what I'm growing. I didn't graduate college and go into an established Anderson & Anderson accounting firm that's been there for 80 years already. No, I went and created my own and I got it out the mud. And that's okay and I'm cool with that. But as a man, you have to take your own life serious and you have to be accountable. And when you are, and as a young guy, you have an opportunity when you in elementary, middle, and high school. I don't care if they tell you got ADHD. I don't care if they put you in special education. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit. You can maximize your potential for whatever level it is you're at. And there is something that's great for you, either on the college path, or there is a particular skill in trade you can get that's a powerful path for you. And I'm going to say this too, and don't get caught up in some blue collar, or is it blue collar, or is it white collar? That's what these bitches care about. As a man, you don't care about that. Your spiritual self is what validates you. There's a man that's doing something that's white collar and it makes $100,000 a year. And there's some man that's doing something blue collar and it makes $100,000 a year. If all you worried about is getting $100,000, then take whatever is the path that was carved out for you to get it. If you're naturally good with your hands, you're naturally good at doing physical labor and stuff like that, then your path is going to be down to blue collar for you to master your way into becoming a millionaire, coming a multiple thousandaire. And then if it's some white collar stuff, then you can go down that path. But the point is that all you young brothers got something great that you're going to end up doing in your life, man. But do that. And this is what I'm going to end it with. And I'm going to say this too. And I know I said I'm going to end it with this shit a lot of times, but fuck it. And you all comment on this if you want me to make a tape on it, because if I do, I'm going to go the fuck in. But these bullshit ass relationships that you guys are getting in your 20s and your early 30s or your late teens, these bullshit relationships are going to cripple you all and they're going to slow down your success. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. As a man, when your money increases, you're going to want a better woman. The type of money you're making at 15 won't be the same money you're making at 25. The money you're making at 25 won't be the money you're making at 35. And the money you're making at 35 won't be the money you're making at 45. So look at it like this. If you know that your 45-year-old self wants that perfect woman, don't fuck around with this bullshit ass bitch while you 25 years old and then bring her to that reality. Don't do that. Don't do that. And don't lie to yourself and sit here and say, I would still deal with this woman even if my money increased by tenfold. So we're going to wrap it up with that. If you are a man right now, a young black man, and you are between the ages of 18 and 30 years old, I want you to ask yourself this question. If you are in a so-called relationship right now, meaning a so-called girlfriend you have, and you are a so-called black man between the ages of 18 and 30 years old, I want you to think and ask yourself this question. Think about how much money you make right now. And ask yourself, If you were making 20 times the amount of money you make right now, would you still be in a relationship or dealing with the female that you are currently dealing with, or would you get somebody better? If you think that when you make more money, you would get a different female, then that means that right now you need to get rid of her. Or if you got a woman in your life and you know that even when you became a millionaire, you would still choose that same woman, then keep her there. But don't bullshit yourself. So ask yourself that. Look at the girlfriend or look at that woman that you taking serious right now, that you sleeping with in the same bed every night, that you got her all in your home, or you always over her